We are live.
Yeah, we are live. Awesome. A little slow. I think it's a little delay. That's all right. Hey, so welcome to another episode of The Healthy Dose. This is episode number 5 with Prophet Engineer Korby Waters. I'm going to actually talk and introduce you to him in just a moment. If you haven't been on here, this is something I started. I want to just share with you the mission. And before we get into the conversation today, I want to just something happened during this lockdown and COVID. Was it now? It feels like 7 years ago, but 7 months ago or 7 months ago. And I just felt like so encouraged by the people that I was surrounded by. And this man right in front of us is one of them. And also knew that there's a lot of people that weren't being encouraged. So I started a daily show. And then I said, you know what? I'm just talking on this daily show and just providing a lot of what I'm getting from other people. So I figured the next best thing, well, I didn't say I figured it, God actually nudged me to take another step. And he said, you know what, if people are willing, if your advisors, your mentors, your coaches, your friends, and people that are building you up, that are encouraging, helping you in your business life and your family life, why not bring them on and see if they'll talk and share, their golden nuggets, if you will. And that's what I have for you today. And I want to just, before I kind of get into it, just to share with you what the mission is. It's pretty simple. I wrote it out just so I can make it pretty straightforward. I'm an old guy, so I'm a forgetful guy. Haven't enjoyed this being encouraged. This is kind of like a platform, so to speak. And I knew really one of the best ways to reach more people, whether it be for encouragement, whether it be for spiritual, whether it be for fitness, whether it be for business. And I just knew, when God was working on me, he just said, you know what? He said, be an encourager, be out there, put yourself out there. The only thing you're missing out on when you have gifts and you have people that have awesome gifts is not sharing it with others, right? Gifts are meant to be given, but they're also meant to be received. So I hope you receive this well. And just a reminder, this show is free. This is not something I'm ever going to charge for. But all I ask is if you find value in it, is that you save it, you send it to somebody, you hold on to it. Maybe you come back and watch it again. You give me some input. Maybe you have a friend of yours who maybe, may want something that Korby has or I have or can offer. And by all means, that's how this works, just kind of networking and so forth. So with that said, if you're new here, it's awesome. This is episode 5. It's not really a podcast. I like to call it a faith cast or a live cast or live, whatever you want to call it, live show. And I want to just, as I get into this, I just want to ask you a question, whether your faith is strong or not. Wouldn't it be awesome if you knew how to live a faith-filled, healthy, and fit life so that you can pursue all that the Lord has set out for you and his plan for your life and for the life of your family? Now, even if you don't have any faith, it's okay. You can listen. This isn't just a show for Christians or believers or people of faith. And I'm just super pumped to introduce you to today's guest. And I'll say he likes to keep things simple. He'll also try to tell you that he's a regular guy. But from what I've learned over the time that I've known him, which has been about a year now, he's far from regular. And I mean that in the best possible way. So just to share with you, Coach Korby, I know him as Coach Korby, has been coaching for 28 years. He's mentored personally Chet Holmes, Thomas Leonard, and Taki Moore. These names may or may not be familiar depending on where you're at as far as in your workspace and so forth, so on. But I can just trust you, or you can look them up. They're pretty amazing people, have done some amazing things in this world. He's helped more than 55 people scale their business to over 7 figures, over $1 million in just the last 5 years. So he's coached more than 20,000 hours. And when you were sharing this with me, Korby, I know there's like that 10,000 hour rule to make you an expert. So you're like the double expert at this. And that's over the last 28 years. He's been through J. Abrams protege training, and he's the business turnaround expert and has a knack for keeping things really, really super simple. And I'll say we got in touch from my mentor, Vince Damani, and his coaching program when I started 1.5 years ago. And I'll tell you what, it's, again, God just kind of starts crossing paths with the right people. I'm so excited to share with you and introduce you to Korby. We're going to be talking about the black dress, secrets of the black dress. I'll let him talk about that. And without further ado, let me just share, I got to say, close friend now, business coach, and really most importantly, brother in Christ, Korby Waters. Welcome to The Healthy Dose.
Thanks. I was going to go get the guy you were talking about right there. That's quite an introduction. But I've been doing this for a long time. I think you meant to say, and I probably wrote it wrong, I guess, or whatever, but I was mentored by Chet, who taught me business training, and Thomas Leonard, who's the father of coaching, and Taki Moore was also I worked alongside of.
Right.
And I learned lots and lots of secrets from some of the best business coaches in the world. And I got a chance to practice that and use it in real business for myself and helping other companies, but now also use it for myself and help. I realized that the secret of businesses, in my personal opinion, and I can't prove it, but I think the small businesses make the big difference. Because if you take all of the top 50 companies in America, they really only employ about 15 to 20% of the people. Once you take out the United States government, who's trying to employ everybody, and then you work to pay yourself and pay taxes on to pay yourself, which is a backwards concept to me, but that's what we run with, right? So it's a lot of fun when I can see a business and save a family or save a company. That's what wakes me up every morning. Obviously, I get paid to do what I do, but the main thing is every time somebody say, "Hey, Korby, we hit $100,000 in business this month. We hit 50,000. We never made 30,000 in a month." For me, that's exciting because I know what it's like for a person to go from nothing to something and from something to significance. So when you do that, that makes a huge difference in your ability to impact the world. Because somebody once said, "Hey, Jesus did it with no money." I'm like, don't be fooled. You know, he had a huge team of people following him. And I'm going on a limb. Even back then, that wasn't free. Somebody had to eat. Somebody had to clean. You know, somebody had to do something.
They had a couple of
yeah, they were doing somebody. Somebody was keeping, tabs or something. He kicked out the money changers, so something was going on. So I always jokingly say somebody has to get paid, and then somebody has to provide value. I try to help people provide value so they can get paid.
Awesome. Let's start, Korby, before you got into the whole coaching and mentorship, kind of just share with me just a little bit about your life kind of growing up and how you kind of got and became, like said, you know what, I know I'm destined to be like a leader, a coach, and this is the direction I want to go. Can you just share kind of I know we've lived quite a long life, you and me, and we could probably talk a long time about it, right? But just kind of young Korby, share with us a little bit about young Korby.
All right. Well, young Korby, I lived in a crime infested area, but looking back on it, if all things being equal, it felt like it was safe, but I didn't know, because these are the people I grew up around. So it was pretty dangerous where I grew up, but it wasn't as dangerous as stuff you see on TV because I lived in a small community, so we all kind of knew each other and protected each other. But a lot of bad things were happening around me at all times, but luckily the people around me shielded me. And even from a young age, a lot of my friends used to come to me for advice. So that was always interesting. So I think I've kind of been a coach probably my whole life because people always sought me for advice. So when I got to high school, I always thought I was going to be an engineer because people say, well, you're good with numbers and math and science, so you're going to be an engineer. That was the only logical choice. A business coach didn't exist at that point. So as I got older, I went to college and I realized this is not really my cup of tea here at college. And then that's when I got into sales, and then sales went well for a while. And then, I was up and then I was down, and then I was up and then I was down, and then I was up and then I was down. Now I'm back up. And as you get older, each time you learn how to keep a little more of it and get smarter with the decisions you make around money. Somebody once said, be faithful when the amounts are small. So once I learned how to master that, the amounts have been allowed to increase. But I wasn't faithful a long time ago when the amounts were small. So I guess it was a lesson there because each time I wasn't faithful, it all disappeared. So
yeah, would you say maybe when you're younger, the wisdom was small at that time too? Or maybe the people that were around you and that mentored, you were able to come around side and mentored you and you learned from those kind of experiences and challenges and mistakes along the way?
Absolutely. Like, there's two people like Dana Brown. He's my brother-in-law. Really humble guy, very, very successful, but he's really, really humble. And just watching him operate and see that, how his faithfulness and he always puts God first has been very successful in terms of helping his family with my sister become very successful because he always says our marriage is Christ-centered, and then we come around Christ to solve our problems. Because, their marriage is not perfect, but man, this is as perfect as I've seen. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a really well-ordered machine. And when they have fights and when they have disputes, they last like 20 minutes or 30 minutes, and then they figure it out and then they move on. But they never really stay mad at each other for a long time. But they've been together since 1984, so I think they kind of got it ironed out a little bit. So, and my sister's only a couple years older than me, so it's like ever since I was a kid, in like 9th or 10th grade, they've been together. So it's a long time. So that he's been very instrumental in me realizing like when you have nothing, if you're faithful, when you have something, it's going to be fantastic. And another friend that's like kind of a role model is Sharonda, and watching her from way back when she was faithful, when the amounts were small, and as the amounts grew, she stayed faithful, and then she gets to enjoy the harvest now. So I said, well, let me try that strategy. I've tried it my way, it didn't work, so let me try God's way and see what happens. And so once I started trying it his way, things have been moving in a really good progression from there.
So even though you didn't continue in that direction of engineering, that's why we're talking, and you're the profit engineer.
Yeah.
So for anybody, like, can you explain like what is a profit engineer?
Well, I like to say I help business owners go from confusion to cash in a dash. And what that basically means in English is this. So if you're in a business and you're not making money fast enough, that means your revenue versus your profit, if that's not growing fast enough, you need somebody to come in like an engineer to fix that. So there are 4 areas of your business that you need to fix if you want to increase profits. But to say something like I'm a revenue specialist, that's, but I'm a marketer at the core, right? So a revenue specialist doesn't sound fun, right? But a profit engineer, you're like, what's that?
Yeah,
it's the same thing.
It's something I did not have when I owned a gym.
Yeah.
And reality was, if I had a profit engineer, chances are I may still have that gym and it may be profitable still, but it doesn't exist anymore. I sold it, and then it really wasn't working well. When I sold it, it was, I say this is when your business isn't growing, sooner or later you got to make decisions. You can't just maintain a business. I learned that the hard way, having a gym that lasted probably a year and a half longer than I probably should have kept it. I didn't have that profit engineer, and guess what? I wasn't profiting. So I had to make some big decisions, and it was hard. It was definitely hard. So I wish you came along like maybe 6 to 7 years ago. Actually, no. I never say all the things that are in the past, I think of as they're these kind of stepping stones, or almost like these building blocks, if you will. You make Legos as a kid and used to put them together and build something. And then when you get it done, it's like, oh, you break it down and you build something back up. And I feel like that's a bit when it comes to business and health and life and relationships and all that stuff.
Absolutely.
So yeah. So, on that sense with profit engineering, we can talk about, for those that are listening to have, that are in business as far as an engineer, but how does that relate to maybe with like health and life, and maybe your relationship in the spiritual sense, relationship maybe with your fitness? I know you're doing some engineering right now yourself. You want to share a little bit about that?
This is funny. So since I'm around a lot of fit pros, I realized that I can't be fat no more, because I'm the biggest guy in the room now, and I'm not that big. Around my regular friends, I'm the smallest guy in the room. Now I'm the biggest guy. So y'all start to rub off on me. So I would say association leads to assimilation, and assimilation leads to adoption, and adoption leads to change. So I'm in that assimilation and adoption phase right now. So I struggle with it a little bit, but hey, each week I get better and better. So learning how to watch what I eat, watch what goes in my mouth, watch how I sleep, watching my habits. I'm getting better at these things. And as I'm getting better, it's not as difficult anymore. So the title of it was like The Secrets of the Black Dress. And I know people are saying, what the heck does that mean? So
me too.
If I was to ask you, hey, Mark, if you're going to go out with your wife and you told her, hey, babe, get dressed, we're going out this Saturday, I just want you to look really nice, but I'm not, well, where are we going, Mark? That's the first thing she's going to ask you, so she can figure out what to wear, right? Don't worry about it. You just need to be ready at 8. We're leaving at 8. It's going to be amazing. My guess is she's going to wear this, a black dress or something close to a black dress. It's going to be simple. It's not going to be busy. She's going to put on high heels. She's going to pin her hair up, and she's going to wear one necklace, not 3 or 4 or 5. It's going to be one necklace that draws a little bit of attention, and maybe earrings. That's it. And light makeup at the most. In Florida, I wouldn't suggest none this time of year, but whatever. It might start running. It's too humid down there. But when you think about it, she would look fantastic, but the outfit is simple. It's just a simple black dress, some high heels, and really that's it. And these two are just accessories. So in business and life and in relationships, we add too many moving parts. So it becomes too busy, so it's hard to maintain. So when you make your spiritual life complex, it becomes difficult to maintain. So for me, my spiritual life it's simple at its core. So I wake up in the morning, I do my visioning soon as I wake up, 9 minutes, provided I'm not being disturbed from the outside. And after that 9 minutes, I spend my next 15 minutes in my faith. So some visualization, and then I do some faith work. So that, if I put it first in the morning, it's a simple practice. It's not complicated. But if I let Mark call me, and then Vince call me, and then, Tracy call me, and Eric call me, and Sam call me, and then my buddies say, hey, we're playing pool tonight, and then chess, and then my kids, and then it gets crazy quick. Now, all of a sudden, it's 10:30, and I'm exhausted. And now I got to pick up my Bible. And now I got to do my spiritual habits. I'm dead. I'm like, yes, I'm good with God. I'll check you out tomorrow. I'm tired. I'm done. So I go to sleep. And then what happens is the next day, it's a little easier to neglect it. And the next thing you know, it's 8 months. Yeah. So if you keep your practices simple, it works great. So in your relationship, same thing. We let a lot of issues build up and build up and build up and build up. And then I want to talk to you, Mark, after 4 years of piling this all up. And I hit you with a ocean full of stuff. On April 25th, 2019, you did this, 21, blah, 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 blah. And I hit you with 47 things. How can you defend yourself? Yeah. So I always call, don't baptize people with your problems. This is the only time I recommend being a pope. Sprinkle them a little bit at a time and solve them.
Don't dunk them like
they don't dunk them. Don't baptize them. Just hit them with a couple, little spritzes, and then you can, it's easy to deal. It's a little, to deal with. So in communication, here's the best example I can give. I learned it from Jim Rohn when I was 22, and it always stuck with me. He says, I'm going to give you a communication seminar in 1 minute. Here you go. Words are like, you ever get one of those nice shirts and they got the little pins in them? And you put it on and you forget we've all done that, right? But the pen, those are like words, they can prick you. But if you take that same pen and you tie it to an iron barb, I can drive it through your heart and kill you. So the pins are the words and the iron barb is the intensity. So you have to choose your words and how you position them carefully, or you can really do some irreparable damage to a relationship that will become way more difficult to fix. Whereas if you would have kept it simple, when Mark, you forgot to do the dishes and you go in the kitchen and do the dishes, but if your son begrudgingly does those for the next 7 years because you keep forgetting to do your part, when he finally tells you at 23, you're not going to like that conversation.
That makes so much sense too. Like even in business sense, since being in the mastermind and getting around you, the most valuable stuff I get is the most simplified stuff. The things that look really complicated, when I start to make them complicated, then guess what? They become complicated. But the things that are like simple, one of the things one of the things you guys have taught me and being in the mastermind is just focus on one thing, one direction, make sure what you're doing. For me, it's coaching, helping busy moms and dads over 40. And a lot of people listening maybe over 40 and they're busy, right? We may make so much complicated. So what we do, we also make our fitness complicated. We make our diets complicated. And one of the things in the years that I've been doing health and fitness and helping people with weight loss, I've learned so much in nutrition and so much in exercise. I've done all the training, everything. And it's, as I've gone along, the more I've learned, the more I've realized it just needs to be simple.
Yeah.
Sprinkle. But you don't need to be counting and weighing and measuring every single little thing if you just aren't even drinking any water during the day. Or maybe you haven't had a vegetable in the last 8 weeks. Okay, we maybe need more greens, but let's just start with having maybe one green bean at dinner. That could be a starting point. It can be really simple. And I think business as well. And that's, it goes back to that black dress. It totally makes so much sense. And even in spiritual too, I think even when I became a new Christian, when I came into a relationship and understanding that, you get in and you dive in and you want it all and you want to read and you want to understand. And the funny thing with faith is, it's faith. You're not going to understand it all. You're going to actually learn as you go in the seasons of life, like the seasons of business, like the seasons of health. Because you and I both know where we're at in our season of our health is way different than it was when we were in our 20s, right?
Oh man. Woo. I don't want to move even though I do.
I mean,
my get up and go has got up and went already.
I can look at somebody running a 5K and I lose 5 pounds, right? Like that's how it was when I was 20. Now, I can run a 5K and I look at a slice of pizza and I feel like I literally just put that 250 calories on, just looking at it, not even eating it. Right? Do you feel me on that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's how I feel, And so the best way to explain it is, I used to hate this one. The eyes are the windows to the soul. I used to hate that, because we had this pastor. That's how he used to say it. Your eyes are your windows to your soul. And like, what does that even mean? And then, so now that I'm older, so if you take business, you take relationships, take family, what you focus on is what expanded your consciousness and you'll take action towards. So if you focus on your family and you take actions towards your family life's going to improve. If you take actions towards your business and focus on it, your business is going to improve. At the same time, if you take actions away from that, those things would just deteriorate. And the longer your eyes are away from what it should be on, the worse it will get. So if you take David, for example, he dropped his eyes on the balls with, Bathsheba. And the further away he tried to protect and use his ego, edging God out, EGO, edging God out, that was the problem. So when you look at God, given orderly direction, G-O-D, given orderly directions, once he finally decided to make a right turn and come back and start looking at God and start focusing on that, then his life was repaired. But even somebody as strong as David, who was basically a king, can still get it wrong by looking at the wrong thing. So if you look at your life, if you listen to this podcast and you look at your life, the first thing I ask you is, what direction are you focused? Where's your focus? If your focus is on not being healthy, you're going to become unhealthy. If your focus is on moving away from the core of your relationship is going to get worse. If you're looking away from God, if you're not running to God, if you're running away from God, your spiritual life will deteriorate. But here's what you don't understand a lot of times. The root of the tree is the spiritual life. So nothing can grow without a good spirit. So you need to fix that first. And that's the nutrition that needs to go into your roots so that the tree can grow anything. Because the healthy spiritual life is the part that guarantees that all the other parts of your life can even work. It's like integrity. People say, Korby, what's the master principle? Integrity. Because integrity, as Brian Tracy says, it's the master principle, because without integrity, none of the other principles can even work. So that's like spiritual for your life.
Yeah, it's for me, I feel like one of the things I've learned is that you give yourself a capacity to handle spiritual, relational, physical health, financial, all those things. And there's like a capacity, and maybe you are at, say, a certain level in your season of like 20s, 30s, maybe in your 40s. And then there's a capacity that's there, right? And the only way you can expand it is by maybe doing what you do well. Like if you're able to make money, you do it well and you make more money. And then you've got to that capacity. Maybe you can make more of it. But what happens when you're like, it's almost like that kind of a bubble, if you think of it, and you're inside of it and you have that limitation, kind of the lid we were talking about earlier, to some extent, right? And maybe you can share it a little bit better. But what I think of it is, I felt like for certain things in my life, before I got into mentors, having coaches and mentors, people that can help shape and help understand that there is a far bigger capacity in all areas of life. But definitely for me, like you said, people like to talk on a spiritual level. They have God. God's first in my life. You hear that all the time. And I thought that too. I was like, yeah, I'm going to make God number one. And then my wife number two, my kids there. And then, put that down lower than my business. The reality is it's kind of the center of it.
Yeah, I've
right?
done it before.
Yeah, I've done it. Like you put it like God first, and then this and this, and then you kind of, it's like a list. Whereas it's more like kind of like a cell on a cellular level and like central to the middle of it. And then there is like a give and take. It's kind of, I don't know, it's a fluid movement, but I don't know if I'm getting too abstract here for you, but I just think of like when I focus on the middle, other things all line up so much better. Like they work better when they're in the middle versus keeping God at the top and then kind of on like a downward spiral to like, okay, what's going to be on the bottom of my list? Well, a lot of people make health on the bottom of their list. Will they make it the last thing? Because like I think of moms and dads providing for their kids and being there and doing, and years go by and then they get on a call with me and then they say, Mark, like I don't know how I let myself go the last 20 years. I heard this all the time. I can imagine. I was in my best shape before I had my kids, and my kids now 20 years old, 19 years old. I stopped working out. I stopped eating healthy. I can't get the weight off. And now they're 20 years old and getting out of the house. That's and in crazy. Between that time, what happened was there was other things that were at the top. And guess what's put on the bottom? A lot of times for people. Now, that could be related to finances. It could be related. But for my walk, I know a lot of people. I know for probably people you're around, they put their business first, but then their capacity is limited. And then they get stuck like I did in my gym. Whereas people in their health, they put everybody else's needs first, except their own. They say, well, that's the most selfless thing to do. And you and I both know not taking care of yourself is one of the most selfish things somebody can do. And it's easy to happen. So I love the secrets of the black dress. Can you share like just kind of, how can somebody that's maybe struggling and talk maybe in a business sense or however you want to go? Because we've been talking kind of all different places, fitness or health and spiritual level, but for business purposes, like in the secrets of the black dress, what's like some starting, how can somebody get started doing that?
Okay.
On the black dress.
All right. So to carry the concept further, right? So Mark, step one in any type of business, right? So step one is, have you ever been to a party and seen somebody that was instantly attractive to you?
Yes, my wife. I better say that.
So yeah, so
December 8th, 1999.
Well done. So
December 8th, 1999. I'll never forget the night.
So step one in my process is to teach you how to create a business that's how your business looks to your potential clients. Really attractive. And then so the second step is now teach you S&M. Not that kind. Sales and marketing. So sales and marketing. So marketing is the black dress. Sales is, can you get a phone number? Or I guess now, can you get an Instagram? Can you get an Insta ad or a Snap ad or a Facebook or whatever? So once you do that, right, now you get into the third step, developing customer service or the lifetime value of a customer. So now you got to develop that over time. And if you do that right, you keep them forever, that relationship going. And then the fourth step is what goes in the middle of that triangle, so to speak, is the systems, the invisible systems that make all of that stuff work. So have you ever seen two people in love? It looks like, man, they don't even work at it. That's because they built those three steps, but internally, all of the systems are there. So I give you an example. Automatic. Yeah. So when you go to McDonald's, what you don't realize, I know you don't go to McDonald's, Mark, but if you go to McDonald's for an average person, that hamburger you eating, the hamburger, your Big Mac or whatever you're eating, in most cases takes about 315 systems to get it to your plate. And they still make a profit for it at $2. Because you got to remember, they got to grow the food and all the systems in the agricultural part of it. Then it's more systems from getting it from agriculture to processing. Then from the processing, all of those systems, fertilizing it, from fermentation or whatever they got to do, or sterilization and pasteurization, poisonization, but whatever it is, right? So after they do all that, then there's a delivery system. So now they got to transport it and freeze it in freezer systems and move it across the country to the regional warehouses. Then from the regional warehouse, they need to move it to the McDonald's. Then from the McDonald's, they need to have breakdown systems. Then they got timers to cook it and wrap it in this many seconds, and you can only keep it here for this amount, and you got to throw it away. And then after all that, then they got customer service stuff, and then they got to serve it to you, and then they got to make sure you get out the parking lot. Then they got to make sure, and the hamburger's $2, and they make money from that. So if you have systems in your business that support those three things, your business can do two things for you. It's going to produce income. That's why I'm a profit engineer. And it's going to produce profit. But more importantly, it's going to have one side effect. It's going to also spit out freedom, because the system will set you free. And that's how I help business owners.
Awesome. What's so amazing is how relative it is to the other things we were talking about, how relative it is to building systems and relationships, relationship with yourself and your own health, having that in your business, in your spirit life. I mean, the other thing is, you mentioned when you get up in the morning, you have a system in place for the time you spend. I do too, similar, early mornings. And I know that there's a system I have at a certain time, and I do this, and it's not always perfect, but versus just kind of, oh, maybe I'll read the Bible later. I'll wait to work out. You know, when I get a chance, when everybody else's needs are taken care of. There's not a system about that at all. And without a system, like that hamburger probably could never get to whoever eats those McDonald's hamburgers.
Yeah.
But we live, the funniest thing, Korby, is the closest restaurant to my house right here is a McDonald's.
I knew it.
It's literally 2 blocks down this way. And the funny thing is, when my daughter was in school, in elementary school, that was literally right next to it. They'd do something every year with the teachers where they would serve the kids at McDonald's, and they'd open it up for the teachers to go and the families. And my daughter, when she was in elementary school, told the teacher, and the teacher called us, said, they were laughing, said, yeah, your daughter said, the only time I'm allowed to go to McDonald's is for Redbox to go get a movie.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So they called me out, and they're like, oh no. And now, you know, I don't, just so you know, if you're listening, I don't only force my kids to eat, you know, protein smoothies and salads and that stuff. But I will say is that was a really, really funny moment. So back to the secrets of the black dress. That's so awesome and so helpful. It's keeping things simplified, but how do they get simplified? It sounds, from what I'm hearing from you, is having those systems in place for that attractive offer. What's the attractive offer for somebody trying to get in better shape?
Well, the attractive offer is health.
Boom.
Yeah. So to be healthy, but watch this. Healthy is not sexy. So this is where the black dress comes in. So for a man at 50, get back your vigor and fitness and stamina and mental clarity. That's what they want, right? So for women, it would be get back your curves, lift your butt, get your sexy back, feel powerful. But if you say, hey, you can get in shape, nobody wants to get in shape. That doesn't sound fun, right? So you sell people what they want. You give them what they need so they can have what they want. So people try to sell people what they want and then give them what they want also. So you got to sell them what they want, give them what they need. Because there's many lessons that my parents gave to me that I did not want, but I needed. Now I can have what I want because I followed those lessons. And I'm still, as much as I don't want to sound like my parents, my kids say, you sound like grandma. Years trying to avoid that outcome.
I guess that's what you call lifetime value, right?
Lifetime value, because
and then it's
got it from my mother.
Generational value. That's the other thing too, right? When it comes to business, it comes to spirit, it comes to your own personal health. There's a generational value to all of those things. There's a generational value to keeping things simple as a black dress, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's so let's, you know, on this, and I think maybe we'll wrap things up from here. As far as like I said, when I said how to get started, this is so helpful, keeping things super simple and having systems for, you know, you and I know the value of coaching. I know you have your own coaches, you are a coach, I have coaches and mentors. But for the person, not to sell anybody listening on either one of us, but just in general, how valuable it is to have outside eyeballs looking in to help you, whether it's to help you with your capacity to grow and learn, to see and to help build systems that maybe you can't see for yourself. Can you just share, because it's easy for me to share, I do it all the time. Can you just share like the value for you in your life, how having people looking outside eyeballs in?
Yeah, so I'll give you an example. Something simple that's really relatable. Me and you both have bald heads, in case you didn't know, right? So
I think yours is a little shinier than mine, but
today, yeah.
Looking good.
So, but here's the thing, right? Let me ask you a dumb question. Let's say you was in a rush shaving and you missed a whole patch right here, just a nice big one, right? Now, is there any way you would know that once you left the shower, right? You would not know, because when you dry with the towel, you're not gonna feel that hair because it's pretty close. But when you're walking down the street, people going, what kind of hairdo he got? That hairdo looks weird. but you're never going to know. So then I walk by and say, hey, Mark, you know, you missed a whole section of your head, right? You got this ridiculous looking stripe on the back of your head. And I know that's not the look you're going for. Really? So then you go back home and then you shave your head. That's the value of a coach, because a coach can see things that you can't see, that you need to fix, even though it's super close to you. Because sometimes we get too close to it, so we can't see it to fix it. So sometimes you need somebody to point out what you can't see. So it's 3 levels. So Mark, of all the fitness industry in the world, you probably know, let's say 3%, because you've been studying it for 30 years, right? But then you're aware of about another 15 to 20% that you know for sure that you don't know about the industry. So that leaves about 85% of stuff that you don't know that you don't know that you don't know. So you don't even know that you don't know it. So the coach helps you point out that other 85% that you're not even aware even exists. And by showing it to you and revealing it to you, they can allow you to access simple solutions that you would have never accessed yourself, like shaving the back of your head with the big spot on it because you just didn't know it was there. So what I do with people is I help them access parts of themselves that they didn't even know they had, and help them understand their greatness at a level they didn't even know they can get to.
So good, so good. And I love the title that you made for this, The Secrets, because, you know, at the end of the day, like, if you think back to that woman in the black dress, they're always like I think of my wife in that black dress and the heels and, you know, the hair back and just like you explained, and there's something really attractive about that, just as there is in a thriving business, just as there is in a healthy relationship with food and with fitness, and in a spiritual life, that's that attractive offer that can have that lifetime value. So good, so good. Hey, listen, that's so awesome. Let's close there. But Korby, where can people learn more about you? I know we may have some business people who are, you know, looking, whether it be for business coaching or can maybe just follow you. I know you have just a normal Facebook here as well, but what else? Where else can they find you?
Well, you can get me at Coach Korby on Facebook or Instagram. I'm going to be building out a page pretty soon. I'm debating if it's going to be Law of Success or it's going to be sales focused, but I like Law of Success. But it's at Coach Korby, CoachKorby. So that's all one word, just at Coach Korby on Facebook. It'll pull up my profile. If you have any questions, feel free to just ask them there. I'm more than happy to help in any way I can.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much, Korby. And now, you know, this is the last part. Just it's time to bless somebody else. If you found this really valuable, who are you thinking about and may value this, whether it be in a business, maybe it's somebody that's stuck in their business right now. Maybe it's not related to fitness. I know Korby has years of experience that's not related to fitness, and now it does. And it's really cool how that all interrelates. Maybe you're in a spiritual, you know, struggle right now, and you don't know how to make things simplified. Now, again, neither one of us are pastors, but we're also both brothers in Christ that have faith. And you can even reach out to either one of us regarding that. But if this you found value, not only, you know, go back and watch it, if you're catching the replay, we appreciate you for being on here. And then if there's somebody you can be thinking about now, just share it. I mean, that's what the beautiful thing about the internet and lives like this and podcasts is that you're able to share those things with others. So if you found value, I encourage you to share that. And then just lastly, I just want to say thank you all for listening, for taking the time out, right? You're never going to get the 45 minutes back. I know Korby isn't, so I just want to say thank you for taking those 45 minutes out to share your experience and your value that you offer. So much. I get it. I tell you guys, I get so much of the value from him on a regular basis. And I just wanted you to know where maybe a lot of the things are trickling over into my business comes from this man right here. So that's it. Everybody have an amazing, blessed day, and we'll talk soon. Take care.
Yeah.